Oh, good morning. What is it, Friday? It's the beginning of a nice, warm weekend. And I don't know if it'll hit 100, actual 100, but it'll probably get close. And that happens in Nebraska most summers. It's close. Sometimes it hits 100. We're about to walk up on this beautiful meadowlark right there. And it's going to fly. Whoop, there it goes. We really like the meadowlarks, and I can hear a dick thistle off to my west over here in the direction of the capital. Anyway, we're on top of the dam here at Holmes Lake. I thought I'd start a series on, well, the reason we're up here every day and the visitors we see and the creatures that actually live out here too. I'm gonna let these people pass because I don't like talking in front of people. I think it's kind of weird actually. But anyway, there's Joanne over there. Of course, the star of the show out here for us is the bald eagle, the American bald eagle. It's been the symbol of our country on our coinage and our dollars and our other paper currency. And for well over 200 years, a lot more actually. And then, of course, President Biden just sort of made it the national bird. I think that was the thing that he did recently. And we probably already thought of it that way. But anyway, he did it officially. And that's pretty cool. When we go back to the 1800s, there was probably hundreds of thousands of American bald eagles. They had different names, but the bald eagle was here in large numbers. And that's pretty cool. And they didn't start declining until the 1960s, 1950s probably, 1960s. And they got down to a real low point around 1962. And then I think some legislation came in. They got down to about 417 breeding pairs in the 48 states. Now they're pretty common in Alaska still, Maine, Canada. So sometimes I hear people say that they were near extinction. And I suppose that's true. But they weren't near extinction in the same way that, whooping cranes or condors, or there's a beautiful little black robin, it's called, in New Zealand, got down to 5 birds. There's all kinds of birds and animals that are near extinction. But in the lower 48 states, it's probably pretty easy to argue that they were near extinction. So I wouldn't argue with that. But for the rest of the country, and of course they're only really here in the U.S. and Canada. I don't think they make it down into Mexico much. Possible. The only other eagle in the U.S. generally, unless you get up in the Aleutians in Alaska, the only other eagle really is we all know, the golden eagle. And I think, I'm not sure of the measurements, but I think the American bald eagle is just a tad bigger than the golden eagle wingspan-wise. They can weigh 8, 12, 14 pounds. And this is true for pretty much all raptors that I know of. There might be somewhere where it's not true, but the female is bigger. And they often say that the female of the golden eagle is just about 25% bigger than the male. And we've got a pair of bald eagles rather here on Holmes Lake that we watch. We've been watching for the last 4 years. And this is our 4th season of seeing young ones born. And we've watched pretty closely every day their habits, their places they visit. And as I turn the camera around, you probably can't see it, but there's a big cottonwood tree over there, and there's a housing apartment complex over there, and there are houses back on the south end of the dam there that they, especially the juveniles, they'll rest on. And we've seen them rest 3 feet from people's back windows in this apartment complex up here on the north end of Holmes Lake. And they'll sit right on the fence post of the people's patio. It's really, can you imagine waking up around 5:30, 5:40, 5:50 in the morning in a nice summer morning, and you look out your patio blinds and you open them up, and 3 feet away there's a huge bald eagle. We've had that kind of experience. We haven't had them in our house right out, the back door 3 feet away, but we've had them 30 feet away. And this whole experience of seeing bald eagles has taken on something of a life of its own around the whole country. Because when you get down to 417 pairs, you don't see them anymore in the U.S., in the 48 states. They're essentially gone. And that was in, 62? I get 62 and 63 mixed up, but I think it was 62. So to me, that's fascinating. $417 pairs. Honestly, that's pretty precarious. And what happened to them, of course, is another story. Most of us run right away to the story about DDT, I guess you'd call it a pesticide. It was a chemical. Very interesting story, and we'll save that for another time. Maybe that'll be the next one we do, because that seems to be the next thing that affected the health and the longevity of the bald eagle species. Maybe a couple more things today before we get off of some of the interesting facts about the bald eagle. And one is that it's in a family of about 70 eagles. Things like the fish eagle I've seen in Africa and the Middle East. There's the harpy eagle, Philippine eagle. There's 70 different species, I guess you'd say. 70, 71, somewhere in there. And many of them are doing well. Some of them aren't. The bald eagle, of course, has recovered very well, and it's a member of what they call the fish eagle species. And that's why you often see them around lakes, big rivers like the Missouri and the Mississippi. They need the water for the fish. And they say bald eagles eat about 85% fish. The rest can be roadkill, carrion. Um, rabbits. I don't know about squirrels. We haven't seen them take a rabbit yet, although we've seen them out near the golf course on the ground eating something. We have seen them take pied-bill grebes and coots. They're really pretty good at capturing coots, which is a small duck-like bird. And they say they eat ducks. We haven't seen one yet in the 4 years we've been watching. I don't doubt it. But the ducks seem to be pretty secure around them. There's a mallard down there, and if an eagle flew over about now, I don't think it would bother the mallard at all. They seem to have this sense of, when they're going to become prey, and if they're going to become prey. Animals seem to know when they're safe and when they're not, and we just haven't seen any behavior that these animals are afraid of the bald eagle. Not the bigger ducks anyway, the ducks and the bigger birds, the geese and such. Anyway, 417 pairs, precarious, right? Pretty bad. So we'll finish out this video with the idea of how many pairs there are now in the lower 48 states. I mean, there's some places up in Alaska, I don't remember if it's the Sitka River, where there's thousands of eagles, bald eagles, every day. So it's a little different story up there. But down here, the story is quite wonderful, actually. I think the census was taken maybe in, I don't remember what year, 2010 or 20, I don't know, but the most recent populations were in the 73,000 pairs, breeding pairs. And I think by now, and this is just a slightly educated guess, I think by now we're probably getting close to 80,000 pairs in the lower 48 states. So are they on the endangered species? No. There was an Endangered Species Act. There was I think another act, the Eagle Act, which also elevated the golden eagle to a certain status. And so there's 3, 4, 5 different acts of Congress that have protected eagles and sometimes other birds in a very special class. That's really pretty cool. Anyway, so for sake of argument, whether you agree or not, let's just say there's about 80,000 pairs of bald eagles in the 48 states today. And that's pretty exciting. So the recovery is a whole nother story of its own. And watching them is another story. And the DDT story is a very valuable, important part of the story. The enjoyment of allowing yourself to become very interested in and observant, and you can call it a hobby if you want, but watching the bald eagles, that's another story. So I got a lot of stories to tell, at least 5 to 10 more. And I'd like to do maybe 15 to 20 videos on these bald eagles, really. So out of Holmes Lake, we'll say goodbye for now. I'm meeting up with my darling right there. She doesn't want to be on video. Wave, dear. No, she says, I can't see you. Oh my gosh. All right, see you later.